Before I get started on the build video to add the lower wing to the Scramp, I want to show you what the finished biplane looks like. Now, if you want to know the details about how to build the high wing Scramp without the lower wing, you can click on the annotation in the upper right hand corner to go to the previous video where I talk about that and explain more about the power system and all the components of that. So the next thing we're going to do is weigh the Scramp and compare it with the lower wing and without the lower wing as far as how many grams it weighs. This weight comparison is done with no battery on the plane. So with just the upper wing, and the plane's upside down here, the Scramp weighs 42 grams as compared to the store-bought or factory Champ, which weighs around 36 grams. And with the lower wing on, the Scramp biplane weighs 49 grams. Now, if you want to skip the build section of this video, maybe that's a little boring and you don't want to watch me build the lower wing, there's an annotation in the upper right corner to go straight to the flight video and see how this performs with two wings as a biplane. So it's time to make the lower wing for the Scramp so I can make this into a Scramp biplane. And to do that, I took the dimensions from a D7 that I have. It's a larger plane, but the lower wing is slightly smaller than the upper wing and set back a little bit like most biplanes. So with that in mind, I took the size of the wing on the Scramp, the upper wing, and figured out what the lower wing would be, and we came out with roughly 410 millimeters for the wingspan and 71 millimeters for the width of the wing. So I made the wing out of this 2 millimeter Dipron and cut it out. Okay, so the next thing we do is roll our lower Dipron wing so that we have some airfoil to it. John, would you hold the camera while I do this? So what I want to do is mostly apply curve to this leading edge of the wing and not so much in the rear. So I'm going to take my handle here from a broomstick and just put it on there, press down, and you can already see how that's curving the foam. And I'm not doing much to the rear side here because that is going to be more or less flat. It's the front edge that has most of the airfoil in it. So you do that, and now can you see that airfoil? It's got a curve right here. We're going to be using this H2O latex paint by Krylon to paint the foam because it's foam safe. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just spray it a little bit and get the nozzle cleared out so I don't have all those big chunks coming out. Now I got a little piece of tape, a little piece of Scotch tape on the wing just to hold it. And now I'm going to spray it. Just more or less even strokes. Doesn't have to be a thick coat, it just gives it some color, makes it look interesting. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over, give the back a little coat. There. Okay, the paint on the lower wing is now dry, and I'm cutting some wing mounts right here that's made out of this Dollar Tree foam board, and it's about 4 millimeters thick, just like the black foam board that's mounting the upper wing. So the lower wing will be removable just like the upper wing. will have the wing mounts glued to the wing, basically like this. That keeps the airfoil and also gives us a place to put the pins through to mount the wing. Here's how the two wing mounts will be eventually glued onto the wing. They're not glued right now because I've got to do the dihedral next, but here's a little notch that's cut out here to accommodate the receiver. So when it goes on the plane here, that little notch will allow the receiver to still remain in the same place. Now, to make the dihedral without losing my airfoil, I'm going to have to cut two slits on the center line in the wing. One short slit here and one short slit up here, so when I fold the wings up, it doesn't flatten and cause me to lose my airfoil. So now you can see as I bend the wing in the center, the slots that I cut allow it to bend without losing the airfoil. So next I'm going to install the two carbon fiber rods like I did on the upper wing by placing a short piece of tape here on the top and another piece on the bottom and running the carbon fiber between the two pieces of tape, bending it down and taping it along the top of the wing like this. Here's the piece of vinyl tape on the bottom of the wing, and it's some of this stuff right here that you can get at your hobby shop. Okay, I've run a pin through the foam next to the piece of tape on the bottom front side of the wing, because on the top side the tape will go against that pin like this. Remember, that's on the top side, not on this side. Okay, and then the carbon fiber rod on the top side now will go between these two. Okay, next I'm going to cut my vinyl tape out of this yellow stick-on vinyl that's going to go on the upper side of the wings. Now just cutting a couple squares to go on the top of the wing beside the pins that I put through. Nothing fancy here, just a couple squares. So there's the square of vinyl on the bottom of the wing with the pin beside it. And then on the top of the wing, I'm going to put a square right here next to that pin. And of course I'll put a pin on the other side too and put another square on that side, so they'll be kind of like this. And as I said, the carbon fiber rod will go right between the two pieces of tape and then bend down. So I've got two pieces of about 1 millimeter in diameter carbon fiber rod, and they're about 230 millimeters long, or 23 centimeters. One for each side of the wing. So here's the carbon fiber rod poked through the wing between the two pieces of tape, and you can see how it goes over the top of this one and under the piece of tape on the bottom. And when I bend it down along the surface of the wing, it gives me the dihedral, which you can see there. So then the next thing is to just put a piece of tape over the top of this carbon fiber rod to hold it down. So I've applied a piece of Scotch tape here to hold the rod down and straight while I apply this piece of vinyl tape over the top of it. And I'm going to go a little beyond center with it. A little beyond center. See, there's the rod. And I'm going to go right about there just to cover up everything so it'll look nice and clean. Same thing on the other side. I've poked the carbon fiber rod through and it comes out the bottom on the other piece of tape between the bottom tape and the top tape, and then I just fold it down and apply a piece of Scotch tape right here to hold it while I put the vinyl on top of it. Okay, I've flipped the wing over And now I'm just going to cut the excess vinyl off with an X-Acto knife. There is the finished wing with the vinyl on top and the carbon fiber rods protruding out of the bottom. Now the dihedral can be adjusted simply by bending the wing and before we glue the carbon fiber rods. Okay, just wrapping thread around it now. It's kind of like sewing on a button. Okay, once you wrap it around one way, then you start wrapping it around this way. Just keep going around in circles that way and then tie it off. Okay, the next thing will be to apply a drop of CA to this knot that I made and to these cracks in the wing that we cut. The glue is now drying, and you can see that we have quite a bit of dihedral on the wing now. So that pretty much completes it, except for maybe cutting off the ends of these carbon fiber rods later. I'm getting ready to glue on the wing mounts, so I've put one wing mount on each side of a piece of foam, which is the same foam used on the body of the plane, and then tried to make sure it was perpendicular. And once I got it fairly perpendicular, I pinned the two together with a pin on each side. So it looks like this. It should sit nice and flat on the workbench and be more or less perpendicular. Like that. So if we glue them on the wing like that, it should keep the wing nice and parallel with the other wing, hopefully. Alright, I'm pulling out the pins and we'll test fit it on the plane and see how it looks. Just got to pull this centerpiece out. Here is the wing just test fitted on the plane to see how it looks. Of course, if we take it off here, you'll see that we still haven't cut out the place for the wing to slide fully up on the fuselage. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and spray paint these pieces to make them look yellow, and maybe hit this on the bottom too with a little yellow, and I got a piece out here at the end that needs a little yellow. So I've cut a little notch down the bottom here for the wing to go into, and the wing is ready right here. This goes right in between the two pieces of foam, like that, and sits right there. And then I have a couple of pins, same as the top, that go right in these holes. So for the flight test, I think I'll just do a second video, and I'll put a link to that and annotation to that second video with the flight testing.